tonight serves as our first official fundraiser for Purple Room 2.0. We are going to be moving the Purple Room in the new year. Date yet to be determined, because location yet to be determined. But we should have location solidified in January, and then we should have we should move sometime in March or April. So all proceeds from tonight are going towards funding for the large amount of money we're going to need to build a new space. But it's going to be awesome, the new space, but we like the old space too. And so we're going to have our last New Year's Eve party here in style.
The Purple Room is a weird thing.
The Purple Room is an open concept fun space for any type of creative person to do anything they've ever thought they wanted to do.
What do you do when life confines you? What do you do? What do you do when life confines you? What do you do? Do you blame it on your mother? Yes. Do you blame it on your father? Yes.
I'm Paul Little. I started the Purple Room.
I'm Melanie Darling. I'm a comedian, actor, writer type person.
My name is JD Renault. I'm a writer, comedian, and visual artist from Winnipeg.
So Frame Arts Warehouse, where the Purple Room is inside of, is this crazy, huge warehouse where everybody has different art spaces. It was built very a la carte. So it's like, you want a space? Let's throw up some walls. There you go, you have a space. And now it's this kind of twisty-turny kind of maze of a building. And the Purple Room was just this giant space that Paul was like, hey, why don't we live inside of there? And I was like, neat. So we were gonna put up walls and have it be different living spaces, and there was gonna be one big open venue. And I was like, well, as long as there's gonna be kind of an open living area, why wouldn't we just put on some intimate shows there? Then it started becoming apparent that that would be the better use of the venue, was to be an entertainment venue. So I no longer wanted to live next to an entertainment venue, but it turned into this whole thing.
I gotta say, you got away, you got away. I gotta say, you got away, for making me feel so good. I gotta say, let's get away, let's get away. I gotta say, let's get away, I know we should. April in Paris, we sip a glass of wine. Taking it up again, but just one glass at a time. We talk about all the things that brought us here. You whisper softly in my ear. Another morning, 1,000 miles away.
It wasn't supposed to be a space. Then it wasn't supposed to be really a venue. Even once it was a full-time venue, it wasn't really supposed to be anything serious. It's just great that we're having this place where we can, where art can happen, where performance art can happen, where weird things can happen on stage, and it doesn't matter if there are 5 people in the crowd or 80 people in the crowd. It's gonna be a good room for that and a supportive room for that.
I'm the man who couldn't sleep. Well, won't you spend the night with me? I'll fake these terrors through and through the night.
I did like a midnight cabaret where people could come in the middle of the night and just see a lot more stripped down version of the show. It's really cool for stuff like that.
I was job hunting recently, and I went into this boutique called Wishes and Dreams. I'm like, oh, you guys. And I had an interview there, and then the guy was like, oh, so you're a performer, so like, what, are you gonna get discovered and like stop working here? Like, yeah. That's kind of how this works. wishes and dreams at Wishes and Dreams. Wishes and Dreams, 10 to 6, Tuesday to Saturday. You're just getting greedy after that, okay?
The Purple Room came into its own at a time that I really needed it. I was performing stand-up and starting to think about doing other kinds of shows and other types of comedy and really expanding my horizons as to what I could do as a performer and an artist. And I feel like it was fundamental in shaping sort of how I work now, and its spirit has sort of shaped the way I kind of want to go.
This is it. This is my moment. This is my moment in the dank basement to let my freak flag fly and let my colors shine. This is like my rock star moment. This is where I own this shit and just, here it comes. I'm just gonna put my leg up here like a cool gym teacher. Just like, yeah.
There had been talk amongst the people that frequent the Purple Room and help out with things, and myself, about potentially moving on to something different. In the fall, this last fall, the fall of 2014, we did start looking at places with a real estate agent and finding locations that might work. And we found a location that we thought could really work. The location itself was a good spot. This was like on the edge of the Exchange, but closer towards the new Shed district around the MTS Center. It certainly has potential for that, for growth on the entertainment side of things. We had things lined up to hopefully move into that space in October 2014, and then actually open for the public at the very beginning of 2015. But right before the final lease agreements were made, they decided to pull away from the deal. And so that meant we now had no place to move to. When we were originally talking about moving, it was still going to be 100% Paul Little. The fear had been placed in me about the idea of partnerships. If you get into partnership with friends and something happens with that friendship, that can affect the business. If you get into partnership with strangers, well, you just don't have a clue what you're getting involved with. But then after the first space fell through and I started to look at other options out there, my own personal expertise, my own personal financial situation just wasn't going to make that possible. John David Gordon, I worked with him years ago at HMV back when I was like 19, 20 years old. He came up to me at a comedy show that I'd gone to when I started going to see a lot of local comedy, and was like, "Paul Little, is that you?" And I didn't recognize him at first, and then he reminded me of, the context, and I was like, holy crap. His wife, Marsha, who's also very involved with the Purple Room, they ended up saying that they wanted to be involved on a more serious level and on a financial level and with a partnership. Maybe it was December or January. I can't even remember now. But I was just hanging out at the Purple Room, playing some music by myself, and I got a text from my friend Alan Wong. So I filled him in on how we were looking for a new Purple Room and where we were at with things with the new business, and he expressed his interest. And so we ended up going over to the King's Head and meeting for about 3 hours about how he could potentially be involved and why he would want to be involved. And we came out of that meeting basically saying, I think, we've got another partner here. It seemed too perfect, the way that it all connected through together. And so, now I'm in a partnership with Alan Wong and John Gordon, and with the support of his wife, Marsha. And I actually couldn't be happier with working with those two people.
I feel like the new space is going to have a lot of things that we tried to have in the first Purple Room, but weren't able to pull off 100%. Purple Room isn't licensed. That literally does stop a lot of people from wanting to come through the door. Being able to get some walk-in traffic off the street, just basic things that the Purple Room is not. I mean, the Purple Room right now is sort of, I hesitate to call it a secret, but it's a wonderful surprise. I feel like the new Purple Room is gonna be sought after the moment it's announced and the moment it's first seen. You won't even need to see a show there, but I feel like all sorts of creative people will be able to see it and be like, I want to do a show here, and I know exactly the show I'll do here. So I feel like it's a really cool leveling up, as it were, of the spirit of the room and the spirit of the people who run shows in the room.
The space that has stood out that we're looking at is an old warehouse, like a lot of these things are. Its most recent use was as the Edge Skate Park, which was like a skate park youth ministry. And yeah, right now it's still got a bunch of random graffiti on the walls and things like that, but it's a big open space, weirdly shaped. So instead of like a big square, it's got, you know, a bit of an L shape, which we've had to be creative with. But yeah, it has, you know, ceilings at the height that we want. Great location physically in the East Exchange, nearby to a lot of the other theaters in town, like the MTC Warehouse, and then there's a few more blocks to MTC, and the concert hall is nearby. There's lots of front area space where you could potentially even build a patio in the future. It's just big. There's some concern in the other space because the Pacific Avenue space is part of a 7,000 square foot building, and we were only wanting to rent about 2,500 square feet of it.
I heard the whole story about not being able to use the space and then being kind of like shuffled off to see this other space. I was initially skeptical because I thought, oh, what's this? We're kind of getting shafted here, and we had our dream space and we're gonna lose curb appeal. But now that I've kind of warmed up to the other space that we've been shown, we actually realize that it's probably a better space for our purposes.
It's nice, it's big, empty, well-suited room. Yeah, it doesn't have washrooms, it doesn't have a big enough air system for the capacity, and so there's a lot of money involved in getting that going, and we're trying to figure out if we can even do that. And so as it relates to this place where we're still in, the Purple Room 1.0, we had thought that we would be completely out of here at the end of May, which is now pretty much. Now it looks like, well not it looks like, it's not going to be the case. We have a little bit more time here. We'll be sharing the space with other tenants, but we're going to be able to keep booking events here, which is good for the local music community, because when I told them that we weren't booking June and beyond, people were freaking out. And so what that did do is it solidified the need for this space and the need for this space.
Couldn't roll on the sand. As I watched that rock and how it tumbled away from the plan, it reminded me of the path where I am.
As we've been pushing behind the scenes to try and get things going, we've been doing as much as we can to make sure people don't forget about the Purple Room. People are still passionate about it. Theater groups want spaces. Improv festivals want spaces. Musicians just want to book shows, and they just want a nice, small, intimate venue that they can book a show at, know they won't lose some money, and build their own audience. We're gonna make sure that that happens come hell or high water.
All our biggest wounds, even if you spend 2 months just sitting in your room. I went out and faced those fears, yeah, I looked them right in the eyes and unfroze the freedom of my mind. Well, I thought I'd crossed that finish line. Thought I'd rounded the final bend. Oh, I'd hoped that this time we had made it to the end. Oh, but life just keeps on going right till the day that you die. It ain't like in the movies, that big screen isn't life.